So this is a video on transformations, and this is more like a question you might find on an IB exam paper. So let's have a read through it. It says, describe the transformations which take f of x equals x squared onto g of x equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 6. And initially, when you look at this, you think, well, if I want to describe the transformations algebraically, then what looks like has happened is that we've multiplied both sides of this equation by 2 to get the 2x squared. However, you then think, well, how have I got the 12x? What transformation has happened there? And it becomes very difficult to figure that out. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look on GeoGebra and see what's going on with the graphs. So here I've got x squared, and here I've got 2x squared plus 6x plus 12. And if we look at the transformation series, it's much easier to see what's happened. It seems like there's been a translation upwards of 7.5 units, a translation left of 1.5 units, and the graph also seemed to have stretched, and that's probably a stretch of scale factor 2 because this number is 2 here in the y direction. So we can see what transformations have happened by looking at the graphs. But let's say you didn't have the graphs. How could you figure it out then? Well, what we can do is we can complete the square on this particular quadratic. And if we do that, if I show you the completed the square form, sorry, there we go, then you can see that we've got this equation becomes 2 times x plus 1.5 squared plus 7.5. And you can see the translations that have happened, and you can see the stretch that's happened. So completing the square really helps in this situation. So I'm going to go back onto Paint, and I'm just going to write my equation now in completed the square format. So we've got g of x is 2 times x plus 1.5 squared plus 7.5. And now if I can describe my transformations easily, I firstly have a stretch of scale factor 2 in the y direction, because I've multiplied by 2 outside the brackets. And then I have translations, and I can describe this translation in one go, because this is a translation of 1.5 units to the left, so that's minus 1.5, and this is 7.5 up, so we can put 7.5 there. So both of these transformations describe this transformation here. Now an interesting question is to say whether, if we translated first, would this still be correct? Of course, here I've said, well, stretch first and then translate. Well, would it be correct if we translated and stretched? Well, let me try and explain, try and give an answer to that. If I start off with x squared, which is what I started off with, and I stretch first by scale factor 2 in the y direction, then I get 2x squared. If I then translate, then I've got my 1.5 squared in there, plus my 7.5. So stretching and then translating does give me the equation that I need. However, if I translate first, then I've got my x plus 1.5 squared plus 7.5, that's okay. But then if I stretch, then the problem is that I have to multiply this part of the equation by 2 and this part by 2. So I get 2 times x plus 1.5 squared plus 15, which is certainly not correct. So a translation and then a stretch wouldn't work. So we do have to, in every single case, do a stretch first and then a translation. So I hope that helps. Thanks a lot. Bye.